Top 10 Fighters Who Changed Weight Class. Here are the top 10 fighters who changed weight class. Will they be successful? Only time will say, but based on previous jumps from fighters, it is almost certainly a risk worth taking. These 10 fighters did the same thing, jumping up a weight class and reaping the benefits. Before we continue, hit the subscribe button and click the bell icon to get more videos. 10. Muhammad Lawal. Lawal, otherwise known as King Mo, will have a grappling advantage over most of the division's participants due to his world-class wrestling credentials. Going up a weight class allowed him to be faster and use his cardio against his opponents. I'm not sure I'd pick him against a cardio machine like Cain Velasquez after seeing how he gassed out against Mousasi, but there are plenty of other guys in that division he could beat with his wrestling. He'd easily be a top 10 heavyweight, but if he can fill in some of the gaps in his game, he might go even higher. 9. Jose Aldo. Aldo, at 5'7", isn't very tall for a lightweight, but he's taller than previous champions such as Frank Edgar. Aldo has a chance to succeed because he's one of the best kickboxers in the division. Add in some solid takedown defense and an elite ground game, and he's a tough style to match up in a division rife with wrestlers attempting to be boxers. If he gets a title shot, he could be a top 5 lightweight, but he could be a champion depending on who holds the belt. 8. Anthony Johnson. Johnson stands around 6 feet 2 inches tall and is in great shape. He's utterly monstrous at welterweight, but if he's taken down by great wrestlers like Josh Koshnick, George St Pierre, or John Fitch, he's still in trouble. Johnson also needs to lose a lot of weight to get to 170 pounds, which has made him tired and less competitive in later rounds. Johnson could still be huge for that weight class if he added maybe 10 pounds of bulk, reducing his average cut by 5 pounds if he went to 185 pounds. There are fewer elite wrestlers at the top of the division, and he could still be huge for that weight class if he added maybe 10 pounds of bulk, decreasing his usual cut by 5 pounds. Johnson has the potential to be a top 5 middleweight, which isn't bad given he's only a top 10 welterweight. 7. Lyoto Machida. Machida isn't even a significant lightweight, but he's never had a problem with his height in the past. Machida's superior takedown defense could help him keep the fight standing, giving him an advantage over almost anyone. If he were to face Junior Dos Santos in a hypothetical contest, he should be able to take the fight to the ground if he can't win the stand-up. He'd struggle on the field against the major wrestling heavyweights, but he'd have a massive advantage on the feet and be impossible to take down. He's one of the few fighters who can match Fedor Emelianenko's fighting style. His recent fight against Ryan Bader shows he still has that fight in him at 42. 6. George St Pierre. St Pierre isn't tall enough for welterweight, and he'd be too short for middleweight, limiting his ability to use jab and leg kicks. At middleweight, though, there isn't a matchup where he won't have a chance to win. If he couldn't take down Chael Sonnen and Yoshin Okami, he could outstrike them. He can position Vitor Belfort, Dan Henderson, and Nate Marquardt on their backs where they usually fail. On the feet, Damian Mia, Jake Shields, and Rondo Souza will be picked apart. If Anderson Silva couldn't resist St Pierre's knee tap or single leg, he'd be in serious trouble. 5. Robert Whittaker. Robert Whittaker of Australia made an impression on UFC fans through one of the underappreciated seasons of The Ultimate Fighter, the UK vs Australia themed smashes, in late 2012. Whittaker won the season at welterweight, and most fans predicted the Reaper to have a promising future ahead of him at just 22 years old. Whittaker won his first match after TUF, beating fellow reality show winner Colton Smith, but he soon ran into issues. First, Court McGee, another former TUF champion, could grind him out for a decision. Then, in a very embarrassing result, Whittaker was knocked out by Stephen Wonderboy Thompson's pinpoint striking accuracy. Whittaker had a lot on his mind after that defeat, and after a solid win over Mike Rhodes got him back on track, he decided to switch things up by moving to middleweight. The Australian didn't seem to be the biggest 170-pounder, but the transition to 185 pounds seemed to suit him. He retained all of his punching strength from welterweight, but gained a significant speed advantage over most of his rivals. 4. Dustin Poirier. Dustin Poirier was a significant underdog in his first Octagon appearance in 2011 when he debuted in the UFC after going 1-1 in the WEC. Poirier defied the odds by defeating Josh Grisby, the #1 contender at UFC featherweight, handily, and then went on a 4-fight winning streak to secure his status as a title contender. However, a defeat to Chan Sung Jung ended his title hopes, and Poirier went on to establish himself as a high-level action fighter, winning some big fights but losing to Cub Swanson and Conor McGregor. On the other hand, Poirier had had enough of both his success as an action fighter and the 145-pound weight cut by 2015. After rebounding from a disappointing loss to Michael Johnson, the Diamond put together another streak of domination, defeating Jim Miller, Anthony Pettis, Justin Gaethje, and Eddie Alvarez, cement himself as a top contender at UFC lightweight. 3. Thiago Santos. Several fighters have found success going up from a lighter to a heavier weight class, but only a handful have done so twice. Thiago Machida Santos of Brazil is one of those few, having recently fought Jon Jones for the UFC Lightweight Heavyweight Championship and coming as close as anyone has ever come to dethroning the reigning champion. During the second season of The Ultimate Fighter, Brazil, Santos debuted in the UFC at 170 pounds. Santos, who was always a major welterweight, beat Gil Freitas and Pedro Ayer during the reality show tapings, but lost handily to both William Massario and Leonardo Santos and was compared to UFC contender Edson Barboza by many fans. Santos didn't seem to be picked up by the UFC after TUF, but he stepped in on short notice to battle Cesar Ferreira in a middleweight fight at UFC 163. He was defeated in just 47 seconds, but he showed flashes of his promise with the victorious victory over Ronnie Marks in his second octagon debut. Santos went on to win 9 middleweight fights, only going the distance twice but losing 4 times, and it seemed that while he wouldn't be a title challenger, he'd be a fixture in the UFC for years to come. 2. BJ Penn. Hawaiian legend BJ Penn, one of the original weight class surfers, debuted in the UFC at lightweight in 2001, kicking off his MMA career with a bang. He earned a championship shot at 155 pounds by defeating Joey Gilbert, Din Thomas, and Kale Uno, but fell short against then-champion Jens Pulver. Penn made another shot at UFC Gold after 2 more victories, but this time he was held in a split draw in a 5-round match with Uno, leaving him beltless once more. Penn would get another title shot in his next UFC fight, this time at welterweight, where he faced dominant champion Matt Hughes, who had defeated several top contenders and was looking for his 6th consecutive title defense. Despite gaining 15 pounds and giving up weight, the prodigy stunned the world by coughing Hughes out to win the gold. Following the fight, Penn was forced to leave the UFC due to a contract dispute, meaning he would never defend his title again. The Hawaiian went on to have an exciting career, going up and down weight classes and even competing at 205 pounds. Penn returned to the UFC in 2006, but this time he was unsuccessful in reclaiming the gold at 170 pounds, losing in a rematch to Hughes. Later, the prodigy eventually won the UFC Lightweight Championship, defeating Joe Stevenson for the vacated title and defending it 3 times, but remaining in a single weight class was never in Penn's plans. 1. Daniel Cormier. When former Strikeforce heavyweight champion Daniel Cormier made his UFC debut in 2013 by defeating former UFC champion Frank Mir at heavyweight, it was always expected that his stay in the heaviest weight class would be brief. Cormier's friend and training partner Cain Velasquez was the UFC heavyweight champion at the time, and the idea was for DC, an undersized heavyweight, to switch to 205 pounds and try and win UFC gold there. Then, it was no surprise when Cormier made the weight cut in early 2014, thrashing Patrick Cummins before sending iconic veteran Dan Henderson. These victories earned him a title shot against light heavyweight champion Jon Jones. Although he lost, Cormier won the title by defeating top challenger Anthony Johnson when Jones had to vacate due to personal issues. Cormier's subsequent 205-pound run would have been enough to make him a UFC legend on its own. He beat Alexander Gustafsson, Anderson Silva, Johnson in a rematch, and Volkan Ozdemir, with his only loss coming in a rematch to a doped-up Jones. Velasquez no longer claimed the heavyweight belt by 2018, and champion Stipe Miocic was mainly without a top opponent to face. So Cormier returned to heavyweight and, despite being undersized, knocked out Miocic to become a double champion at UFC 226. That's it for the top 10 fighters who changed their weight class. If you liked our video, hit the like button and subscribe to our channel for more videos. Thank you for watching and see you next time. Comment down below your favorite part from the video.